Hello. I recently made this small anvil or anvil shaped object, because a proper blacksmith will tell you that these are useless because of the shape of the railway track, the railway line. But nonetheless, it is a nice little object. It's a very nice little object actually. But the main point of this was that it was made predominantly on the very typical 4x6 bandsaw that many people had. In other words, there was a lot of things on this that I didn't think you would be able to do on that bandsaw, and I did them on the bandsaw. And I thought it would be worth trying to just show how I did it, because other people might want to have a go. The bandsaw is the typical 4x6 bandsaw that Harbour Freight, Wrong Fu, all sorts of people sell. I've had mine over 35 years, so they've been around a long time. Lots and lots of people have them. This little object is made from railway track, and railway track is very tough to machine. But the little bandsaw, with a decent blade in it and aligned, if you do take care to make sure it's aligned properly, will get 90% of this for you, and then you can finish it with a grinder, a sander, whatever you want. I did this in the milling machine, but not everybody has a milling machine, but lots of people have bandsaws. So there were a couple of things. The big thing was I didn't remember to sort of take a little bit of footage with the item as it was finished on the bandsaw. I went straight to the milling machine and started cutting on the milling machine. So for this little series of videos, I intend to show all that was done, and then at the end I'll come back and I'll do another little bit here to show you some of the things that I would have done slightly different if I was going to do the job again. Let's see the video then. This is the first cut. The piece of railway line is laid down that way. Underneath I've got two pieces of metal that I'm using. The first one is a spacer to hold everything up, and the second one is a piece that's clamping this flange to the back part of the vice there. This flange is down against there, and it's down against there, held down. So what I'm hoping is I can get as much as I cut as I can on here, and then I should be able to flip it this way, pick up the saw cut here and go down, and flip it that way and pick up the saw cut there and go down. In other words, this saw cut will establish a datum for which I can do the other two saw cuts, because you can't do this in one go. So anyway, that's why I've spent a lot of time trying to true up this blade. I've got it as close as I can, cutting straight, and straight that way, and straight that way. Okay. This cut is approximately 8 inches from the end. About 205mm. Actually, now that I look at it, I think I'm going to get a clean cut straight through this top piece. I think it'll go through the web, and it'll go down probably most of the way down here, before the frame bottoms out, so I'll only have to do a little cut there as a secondary cut. Great. That's cut all as far as through as it can. And it nearly made it through. Nearly made it through. Can you see it's resting on the frame there, look? So all I gotta do is cut that little bit there, because it's all the way through that piece. Now I must admit I did have a bit of a boo-boo moment when I started cutting through my spacing pieces, but I've moved them along now. I've also added a clamp there just to beef things up a bit. I wouldn't say it's gone perfectly, but that's not bad, is it, for a, you know, one of those 6x4 bandsaws. Okay, let's try and cut the rest of it now. I flipped it up the other way, put it in the vise and brought the blade down, and it kind of lines up. Don't seem to be pulling the blade too much, so, and I think that'll go down on the arc there. Maybe I'll give that a tiny bit. Give that a tiny bit more clearance there. This one can come out actually. Okay, just take the weight off a little bit with my elbow, pull the switch. Let it start cutting. Now this is cut all the way through, so when that goes through there it's just going to fall off, so I'm going to have to be ready to catch it. It's quite heavy, that could do a bit of damage. Right, back in a bit. Missed it. It just fell off, went onto this stool and ended up down there. Okay, I was just thinking, oh, I'll catch it while it chops it off, and I was just about to turn it off, and then it went right through. Oh well, anyway, hey ho. You can see it's not a bad cut really, I suppose. Not bad, not bad. Relatively square, I think. Pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. Right, the idea is to cut this back to about 5 inches there, cut down there at an angle and chop the top off to make like a flat face on the top, and then about like that, something like that on the front face there, like that. That's about what I'm going to do. So let's try and make another cut. The problem is fitting this lump of metal into this machine. So it's back in the vise, and I'm going to start another cut. I'll adjust these so that the blade is at the sort of minimum, and I'll keep adjusting them. Right, let's see how that gets on. It'll take a while, won't it? So the idea is to go and do something else in the meantime. It's been going a little while now, probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Just going to knock that back a bit. Carry on, and I'll knock it back a bit further in a minute. I don't like the sound of it. I'm not 100% sure about the tracking now. Anyway, hey ho, cutting alright. Still got the alignment bars on from when I realigned that wheel, because they're not in the way at the moment. Getting down to where I want to get to. It's amazing how quick these things cut, you know, when they, I mean, that's what, that's 7/8. I'm going to call it good at that. That looks good to me. Can you see where I'm pointing? Well, I've done that cut there. I want to do this cut down here. So I've kind of roughed it out there, drawn a line across, got the blade positioned there. I've had to clamp it in there with a chunk of metal there as a spacer. Hang on. Chunk of metal there as a spacer. Piece of tube in there as a spacer. And what I've just done is I've kind of put there, that there, then I've eyeballed from this angle that square and kind of eyeballed it against the blade, and as long as it comes somewhere roughly around there, I'll be happy. You know, within 1/4 of an inch, doesn't really matter. Let's see how it turns out anyway. You have to check that it's nice and sturdy. It's wobbling around, but that's the whole thing, wobbling around. Making the angle cut here, it's very slow going, but what I've kind of realised is when you've got the saw at this sort of angle, there's not much down pressure because of the weight of the motor. So I've wound the thing all the way off, you know, not all the way off, but off a fair bit, and I'm just putting a tiny bit of just hand pressure on here just to add a little bit of pressure. It could also be that the blade's getting a bit worn as well, but anyway, carry on. The two cuts are converging now. What I don't want to do is make it go past. I want to get it close, and then I'll work out where I'm going to. I'll probably break it. What I might need to do is cut the other one down a bit yet, but I might try and break it. We'll see what happens. Right, I'll leave it at that. Okay. I'll leave it at that. What I might do is put a hand saw, I know it's going to be hard work in it, but I'll see if I can go with a hand saw and just square the cut up, and what I'll do is hit it with a sledgehammer and then it'll break the piece out. So let's see if I can do that. I've just gone in with a hacksaw down there. I'm not going to do it now because I have to kind of have both hands available. That, you know, you get the idea. I've squared it up there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to flip it over in the vise and get the saw in there, square that one up there, and they ought to come out quite close. Right, I've cut it quite close. Let's see if this will work. Can you see it? Just broke that, and I can just trim that with a grinder now. This stuff's quite magnetic actually. Can you see the little break there? Pretty good, eh? Anyway, it's taking shape. Need to cut there, and trim the top, trim the sides. That'll be the next job. Here's the next cut. That vise is at full stretch like that. Got a wooden, a metal block there just to support it. It's always a juggle with these to fit the thing into the saw. but it seems to be coping quite well. I mean, at the end of the day, you're only making something you're going to hit things on, so it's not like it's mega, you know, mega accuracy required. Just coming to the end of that cut now. I'm just going to put my hand here to catch it because it's going to drop through. I don't want it to crash down. There you go. Whoa! There we go. Not bad. Not bad, not bad, not bad. Not bad really. Right. Look at that. Weird, isn't it? Oh, that's where it's all fell out of the saw as it's running, but there's a magnetism to this. Weirdly. Strange, weird. Right, okay, it's taking shape. That's enough for today. I'll do a bit more tomorrow. Here's the next big cut. I want to take off the vast majority of that crown. This crown, to give a flat surface on the top. There's plenty of thickness there. I'm just leaving a slight little bit of radius there. Now you'll see why I cut that corner off. I cut the corner off so the blade can come down. But that's just going to start the ball rolling for that cut. That's why it's very important to have the blade cutting in a straight line up and down. Hence the trouble to do all the alignment with the alignment bars there. I know I don't need them on now, I should have took them off, but I'm keen to just let it run now. I might have to take them off actually because I think they're going to foul. So I think I'll take them off before I do any more. Right, it's the next day. The saw got down to about there. I've just set it running again. It's doing okay. Now, I'll tell you now, I haven't done this before, but what I think I've realised is that it's not going to be able to do this cut because the frame is going to touch the base before it gets there. So I'll let it get as far as it can, then I'll see if I can work out what I can do to finish the cut. But I think I might have needed to have set it round at 90 degrees. I did offer it in at 90 degrees, but it wasn't easy to hold it, so hence why it's like this. But I might end up having to go to setting it in at 90 degrees. I'm doing it like this because I have done one of these before and I machined the top and the material was so tough I burnt up my milling cutters. So I thought the best thing to do would be to saw it off because the saw seems to cope quite well. What I have noticed when I look from above is that the blade has pulled the one way. That rib there is the part that's going to hit first. That has just sat down on there now, so that won't cut any further now. That's it. I've just kind of rigged it up the other way around, but I've realised that's not going to work either. Can you see it's just slightly too big? It won't quite go there, and it's going to catch there as well. So I need a bit of more thought on this. I'll put this on, back on, I'll put the guard on, stop everybody moaning, and I can't find the table thing that goes on there, but I'm going to cut this by hand. Well, it by doing it by hand. You tend to press too hard and the blade comes off. I found that it's better to pull it than push it from the other side, and I've just put there to kind of hold it open, because as I'm pulling it I'm squeezing it and I keep the blade keeps jumping off. Turn the attention on. Oh! I hate cutting by hand. Keep breaking through. Lovely. Gotta cut that bit next. It's not too bad actually, not too bad. Not too bad at all. Taking shape. Right, I'll set it up for the next cut. I've had to take the clamp off because it won't fit on. But what I did, I measured the width and I measured the offset from that point to the end, and worked out that I needed to start within a millimetre or so of the point there. And you can't see it. Hang on. Shit. That's why you don't put your fingers near the tool. Whoops. Oh God, what have I done? Shit, hang on. Anyway, what I was trying to say before it went so horribly wrong, what I was trying to say was that I measured the width, and I measured from there to there. I worked out the cut needed to start right by the tip, and I put a square across there and put a mark there, and I've just put it down. I've got it clamped because I had to take that off, and just starting to saw down. Here we go, it's just coming part way through the shot there. I'll have to get ready to catch this one when it comes through, because it'll come crashing down again. I've just moved the thing back there, the guide. But I just wanted to show that it has done a remarkably good job of following that edge along there. So, it's pretty good, isn't it? Right, back in a bit. I'm hoping there's just enough clearance to swing past that end there. I hope you found that interesting. Even if you flick through it like I do on a lot of videos, you skip forward, don't you? But anyway, the couple of things that I wanted to mention was, what I might do different is try and drill a hole in this area here and then cut into the hole. That might have been easier than what I did, although it was fun knocking it apart with a sledgehammer. The other thing that I would have done is probably make it just slightly smaller, just a ½ inch smaller, make it roughly about 7.5 inches, and then you would have been able to, instead of having it how I had it like that and you were cutting down like this, where you've got that long length for it to drift off, it would have been better to have it how I had it set up but couldn't do it because it was too big. Have it cut like that, because that would have been a lot truer So that's something that I would do differently. Well, that's it really. I did watch a little video where a gentleman was basically truing up this face with a grinder, and he'd grind on it, then he would get a belt sander and rub the belt sander over it, and the belt sander would show you where your high points are, then you would grind them. So I thought that was a very clever way of doing that. So if I only had the bandsaw and a grinder, you know, a grinder and a sander, you could even do it with a block of wood and, you know, sandpaper, you know, some abrasive paper. I thought that was a good way of finishing it. I mean, I'm lucky that I have got a milling machine, and I treated this as an exercise in machining. So that's the end of this part of the video. Thanks for watching. I will be putting up a video of how I machine this on the little milling machine, so if you would like to, you can click and watch that, because it's just all a learning experience for me. So I hope you found that interesting. I hope it prompts one or two people to have a go at making something like this. I know there are hundreds of videos on YouTube showing how to make a anvil from railway line, you know, railroad track. But, well, I just did it for the fun of it. I did it because I enjoyed it, and I wanted to use the saw, and I wanted to use the milling machine. So, thanks for watching. Don't forget to click like, don't forget to leave a comment, and, you know, if you like, subscribe. So, thanks a lot, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video, which is showing the milling. Thanks a lot then, bye.